Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopijana Vallabha Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashtotra Sutta Sri Srimad Abhayachanar Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रील रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikas Swami. Namo Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshtarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 6, Text 37. Eka Anta Labham Vachasaha Nu Pumsam Sushloka Maulehe Gunavadam Ahuhu Shrutehe Cha Vivadhihi Upakritayam Kathashudhayam Upasamprayogam Ekantalabham vachasonupumsam Ekantalabham vachasonupumsam Sushloka mauler gunavadamahu Sushloka mauler gunavadamahu Shrutescha vivadbhirupakritayam Shrutescha vivadbhirupakritayam Kathashudhayam upasamprayogam Kathasudhayam upasamprayogam Ekantalabham vachasonupumsam Sushloka mauler gunavadamahu Shrutescha vivadbhirupakritayam Kathashudhayam upasamprayogam Ekantalabham vachasonupumsam Sushloka mauler gunavadamahu Shrutescha vivadbhirupakritayam Kathashudhayam upasamprayogam. Please repeat. Ekantalabham vachasonupumsam Sushloka mauler gunavadamahu Shrutescha vivadbhirupakritayam Kathasudhayam upasamprayogam Ekantalabham vachasonupumsam Sushloka mauler gunavadamahu श्रुतेश्च विवद्भिरुपाकृतायाम् कथा सुधायामुपसंप्रयोगम् एकान्तलाभं वचसोऽनुपुंसाम् सुश्लोकमौलेर्गुणवादमाहुः श्रुतेश्च विवद्भिरुपाकृतायाम् कथा सुधायामुपसंप्रयोगम् एकान्तलाभं वचसोऽनुपुंसाम् सुश्लोकमौलेर्गुणवादमाहुः शुचेश्च विबद्भिरुपाकृतायाम् कथा सुधायामुपसंप्रयोगम् माताजी एकान्तलाभं वचसोऽनुपुंसाम् सुश्लोकमौलेर्गुणवादमाहुः शुचेश्च विद्भिरुपाकृतायाम् तथा सुधायामुपसंप्रयोगम्. Word-to-word translations. Eka anta, the one which has no comparison. Labham, gain. Vachasaha, by discussions. Nupumsam, after the Supreme Person. Sushloka, pious. Maulehe, activities. Gunavadam, glorification. Ahuhu, it is so said. Shrutehe, of the ear. Cha, also. Vivadbhihi, by the learned. Upakritayam, being so edited. Katha sudhayam, in the nectar of such a transcendental message. Upasamprayogam, serves the real purpose, being nearer to. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The translation: the highest perfectional gain of humanity is to engage in discussions of the activities and glories of the pious actor. Such activities are so nicely arranged in writing by the greatly learned sages that the actual purpose of the ear is served just by being near them. Purport: the impersonalists are very much afraid of hearing the activities of the Lord because they think that the happiness derived from the transcendental situation of Brahman is the ultimate goal of life. They think that anyone's activity, even that of the personality of Godhead, is mundane. But the idea of happiness indicated in this verse is different because it relates to the activities of the Supreme Personality who has transcendental qualities. The word gunavadam is significant because the qualities of the Lord and His activities and pastimes are the subject matter for the discussions of devotees. A rishi like Maitreya is certainly not interested in discussing anything pertaining to mundane qualities. Yet, he says that the highest perfectional stage of transcendental realization is to discuss the Lord's activities. Srila Jiva Goswami therefore concludes that topics regarding the transcendental activities of the Lord are far beyond the transcendental realization of Kaivalya happiness. These transcendental activities of the Lord are so arranged in writing by the great sages that simply by hearing of those narrations, one becomes perfectly self-realized and the proper use of the ear and tongue is achieved. Srimad Bhagavatam is one of such great literatures, and the highest perfectional stage of life is attained simply by hearing and reciting its contents. Om Agyanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utaf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Ekantalabham vachasonupumsam sushloka mauler gunavadamahu Shrutescha vivadbhirupakritayam katha sudhayam upasamprayogam. The highest perfectional stage of humanity is to engage in discussions of the activity and glories of the pious actor. Such activities are so nicely arranged in writing by the greatly learned sages that the actual purpose of the ear is served just by being near them. So, in this verse, the glorification of hearing is mentioned, and we see this repeatedly in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radhokshaje ahaitukya pratihata ye atma suprasidati. That the highest perfectional stage of any human being is to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We also have seen the verse, what is this? Vismirtavyana jatuchit. How does it begin? Sarva vidhi nishedasud ekayor evakin. Smartavya satatam vishnor vismartavyana jatuchit. Sarva vidhi nishedasyor etayor evakin karaha. So, Smartavya Satatam Vishnu, to always remember Krishna and to never forget Krishna. This is the aim and purpose of all the rules and regulations of Scripture. So, same thing is stated here in this verse. And Srila Prabhupada compares this with the happiness that the impersonalists experience. This is a Kaivalya happiness. That the happiness that the impersonalists experience, the Brahmavadis experience, is far inferior to that experienced by devotees, because the transcendental happiness of hearing the Supreme Lord's activities, pastimes, holy name, this is very, very nectarian, and because of being nectarian, it's said to be a lot higher. And Srila Prabhupada begins the purport by saying that the impersonalists are very much afraid of hearing the activities of the Lord, because they think that the happiness derived from the transcendental situation of Brahman is the ultimate goal of life. They think anyone's activity, even that of the personality of Godhead, is mundane. So, this is a common misconception. Why is this a misconception? Because the impersonalists are impersonalists. They don't have an idea of personalism. So, activities, qualities, form, characteristics, this is all Maya to them. And while they might encourage those who are very materialistic, yes, you chant holy name of Krishna, you worship God, you go to temple, you do all these things, those who are serious impersonalists, they actually reject all of this. And for one who cannot experience the bliss of Krishna consciousness, the taste of actual transcendental spiritual happiness in serving Krishna, for them, they think that all of this is Maya, and they actually reject it. It goes so far that there is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada who is now a follower of Ramana Maharishi. You know who's Ramana Maharishi? Ramana is one of the big is an understatement, Mayavadis of the 20th century. He lived in South India, in a place called, the Sanskrit name is different. I know the Tamil name, which is what is known today. It's called Thiruvannamalai or Arunachalagiri. So it's a hill. It's a It's worshipped as a Shiva Sthala, although some groups of Vaishnavas say that it was originally a Vishnu temple. And then the Chola kings or whoever, I don't know, changed it into a Shiva temple. But anyways, this Ramana lived there. He wouldn't speak. He wouldn't do anything. He'd just sit there, meditate. Eventually, he became famous like this. And people would go to him. And he said a few things which are, full of wisdom about the nature of the world, temporary nature of the world. And he's also spoken about how everything in this world is one. So he's spoken about these things and he's written some songs on Lord Shiva. There's at least one famous song that he's written, where in that song itself he says that I and you are one. In that song to Lord Shiva, So this, and so basically what is Ramana? Ramana is a perfect example of what the Mayavadis like to worship. They like to worship this person. He was not attracted to anything in this world. He did nothing. And that his ability to do nothing shows that he is a great saint. And so that's what they worship. And so this Prabhupada disciple has become a follower of this Ramana, and extremely offensive to the devotees. I mean, extremely offensive to Prabhupada. It's nuts how offensive he is. And now for all their talk about everything is one and being neutral, being detached and this and that, and for all his glorification of Ramana, he's not able to give up his head for the devotees or for Srila Prabhupada. I mean, like, if that's your philosophy, why are you engaging in this? He goes with extreme fervor to dig up all the dirt that he can against any person that he can find right now. And always it's like constant. Of course, everything else is just about all, Mayavad stuff on his YouTube channel. But he's famous. He's famous amongst the, is that the right word? The protagonist? Are they the ones who are like against? Antagonist, sorry. That's what it is. And what is the protagonist? Oh, he's the hero. Okay, sorry. I'm mixing up words here. So yeah. So there's some people who are, fried out with this controversy. He was a sannyasi actually. And, he gave up and sad. But again, why? Because he thinks that everything that Srila Prabhupada did, all the different activities that he did, that is proof that Prabhupada is in Maya. That Prabhupada engaged in so many things. He tried to create a big society. He tried to do all these things. He tried to, what was he doing? He was in Vrindavan, but now then he went and created this big worldwide society with so much money. That's proof that he's in Maya. This is how they think. They literally think like this. They criticize like this. So why? Because of this, that the impersonalists are very much afraid of, because they think that any happiness that comes from this, any happiness that comes from, because actually the Mayavadis, they don't even like to be happy about convincing somebody else in Mayavadis. They're not supposed to be happy technically with anything. They're supposed to be neutral. Yet, and you see, those who are trying to be or influenced by this, they try to keep that because they misunderstand statements in Bhagavad Gita. Like this, Krishna says, Sukha dukkha samam dhiram somritatvaya kalpate. That one who sees happiness and distress equally. So their conception, happiness and distress equally means you stay neutral. And what is their conception of neutral? Neutral means just be stern and no reaction, nothing. This is their conception. And anybody, so just like they don't want to hear anything bad, they also don't want to hear anything good. They don't want to gain happiness, nor do they want to gain sadness. So anything that gives happiness to them also they have to reject it. Now, in one sense, as a practicing transcendentalist, we should also observe, like, okay, if something is giving me sense pleasure, then I should actually avoid that, or I should try to not become entangled by it. But what it means is that a devotee doesn't act upon it, or a devotee doesn't reject it also at the same time. If prasadam is tasting good, the devotee says it's good, and he has it, and he takes it. But not that he takes more than what he should be taking. Okay, this cushion is soft, it can be soft. Not that I have to change this cushion, turn it into something that's hard, and make it very austere. No, not like that. But this is what those who are influenced by Mayavad or by Buddhist philosophies, they try to do these kind of things. They try to force, because they're trying to force themselves. And what happens is you develop this hard-hearted nature, where you are, the impersonalists are afraid of hearing the active. What are you afraid of hearing? Krishna's pastimes. What is it going to do to you? What is there to be afraid of hearing? It's an amazing thing. You think about it. What are you afraid of? Sometimes you see, actually, when you're preaching to someone, sometimes they're new, and they come to Krishna consciousness, they're attracted a little by it. And then suddenly they stop coming. And then sometimes later, if you go and ask them, it's like, oh, well, I feel I'm getting too attracted to you guys. I'm getting too attracted by prasadam. I'm getting too attracted by kirtan. It's like, I'm afraid I'm going to get influenced. Why are you afraid? Isn't it something good? No, I'm too attached. So the impersonalists, they are attached to a conception where their concept of happiness is so permeated with the sense of being satisfied. And their conception of satisfaction means their conception, they think that if you have to be satisfied, you must not experience any other emotion, because any emotion that you experience will dissatisfy you. And you will start seeking that. So you kind of get their logical analysis. If hearing the Supreme Lord's pastimes give happiness, and you accept that happiness, then you start seeking that happiness. And when you start seeking something, then you are dissatisfied. This is the point. And if you're dissatisfied, that means you're in Maya. You're not in Brahma Sukham. You're not in Brahma Nirvanam. You're not attained liberation, because you're not in that equipoised position where nothing interests you and nothing disinterests you. Now the problem is that they have compared the Supreme Lord's activities and Krishna's holy name, the process of devotional service, to be equal to material happiness. Why? Why do they do that? Why have they committed that mistake? Why do they think that transcendental happiness, why do they equate? They don't see any difference. Happiness is happiness. Why do they not see that difference? Yeah, okay, they think Krishna is a regular human, but what does that mean? Why do they not have a conception of spiritual happiness? But why?
Because they're engaged in material activities.
No, but they're trying to avoid it. So they're not engaged in material activities. Why is it that they cannot identify spiritual happiness? Why do they think it's the same? You're getting close, but that's not the point. Huh? No, that's not the fact. Material happiness is there, it's temporary. In that sense, it's not there, but it's temporary. Is there? No. Because they don't have a conception of spiritual variegatedness. Their conception of Brahman is impersonal. It's a simple answer. When you don't think that the Supreme has a personality, then how can you think that there is anything called spiritual happiness? When you think that spiritual Brahman is that which cannot be described, which has no form, which cannot, which has no qualities, it has no abode, there is nothing to it, then your conception of Supreme is nothing. Or Brahman. Whether you say nothing or Brahman, it's just a little different. Just that the Buddhists, they don't have a conception of eternality either. And the Mayavadis have a conception of eternality, so they have the Sat feature. That's all. So, and because they only have the conception of Sat, which is eternality, and they don't have a conception of anything else. They don't have a conception of the knowledge aspect of the Supreme Lord, nor the Ananda. They like to use this word Ananda. Practically every Mayavadi, they have their names, Ananda, 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 this Ananda, that Ananda, Shivananda, Sadananda, Chidananda. They have all kinds of names, Satswarupa Ananda, all kinds of Anandas. They use it literally even today. It's all Ananda, Ananda. I was saying something else. So if you see something online, some Ananda, then immediately you can understand that he is a Mayavadi. It's not very difficult to identify that. They talk about this Ananda, but the literal conception of this Ananda is that they don't have a conception of that. They cannot define it. And they say you cannot define it. So, because of that, they misidentify transcendental happiness. And therefore, they think anyone's activity, including the personality of Godhead, is mundane. But as this purport says, the whole purpose of life is to hear that. And Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, where is it? It says something about the Kumaras. Yeah. Wait. I thought I just read that. Maybe it was in this purport. Anyways, the point is that you have not Mayavadis, but you had impersonalists in the Srimad Bhagavatam, who were Kumaras and Shukadeva Goswami. These are two famous ones. And they became devotees. How? This is a very nice verse. Canto 3, chapter 15 comes later. And text 42. I was able to only remember one line of this because it's just so nectarian. But, sorry. Yeah. 43, sorry. Tasya Ravinda Nayanasya Padaravinda Kinjalka Mishra Tulasi Makaranda Vayuhu Antargataswa Vivarena Chakara Tesham Sanshobhamakshara Jusham Apichitta Tanvoho. When the breeze carrying the aroma of tulasi leaves from the toes of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead entered the nostrils of those sages, they experienced a change both in body and in mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding. This is the Kumaras. The Kumaras at the gates of Vaikuntha, having cursed Jaya and Vijaya, the doorkeepers, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, appears along with his consort, Lakshmi Devi, and all his associates. And they appear there. And the sages are mesmerized, seeing the form of the Lord. But what transforms them is this experience. This experience carrying the breeze of the aroma of tulasi leaves from the toe of the lotus feet. And what happens is they experience both a change in body and mind. And the sages, the Kumaras, they were very amazed that we weren't attracted by anything. We couldn't be attracted by anything. We are in the position of Brahma Nirvana. So how are we attracted to this? But they couldn't deny the experience that they felt. And because of this, they became devotees. Now, how can we relate to this? The point is that even though the impersonalists, we'll probably read a little later about this more, but the impersonalists, they may be advanced in knowledge and they may be advanced in renunciation. But still, without the experience of Krishna consciousness, they remain incomplete. And that experience of Krishna consciousness is what actually connects one to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That experience of Krishna consciousness comes by the mercy of the spiritual master. And we can experience this sometimes we ourselves. I mean, might have had moments looking at a painting of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or some picture and then just becoming completely mesmerized by this. Experiencing some reflection of transcendental ecstasy, where you have your hair standing on end, you have tears coming to your eyes, and you just feel, what have I been doing? How am I missing out on this? What have I forgotten? I remember when I had a similar experience like that when I first looked at this Krishna Balaram painting back there. I was like, this is happiness. What am I doing suffering? Look at my life. Look at this world. What am I doing? Look at that. I wish I could be part of that. And and Krishna in different ways. Sometimes it happens in kirtan. Sometimes it happens when we are honoring prasadam. Sometimes we are Shyamasundar Prabhu was telling me yesterday on the phone that he had read one of the books of Srila Prabhupada. He got a book. He read that. Then he met devotees, and immediately he was convinced. This devotee started talking to him. Immediately he was convinced. And he followed them right back to the temple. And then when he came to the temple, he thought, I don't know, did I do the right thing? Like, I'm surrendering my whole life right now. I don't know if this is the right thing to do. I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then this devotee asked him, would you like some pineapple halwa? And he was like, yeah, sure. He ate that pineapple halwa, and he said the experience that he had, he said, I'm doing definitely the right thing. I'm completely convinced. This is 100% the right thing. So it's that transformative experience over here, a change in both body and mind, that convinces us to be in Krishna consciousness. This is the difference between being on a speculative platform and Krishna's words in Bhagavad Gita that pratyaksha-avagamam dharmyam susukam kartum avyayam. Pratyaksha-avagamam dharmyam. You see it, you experience it. So, you see it, you experience it. You cannot deny it. And that process of Krishna consciousness, that is what, and Srila Prabhupada is explaining that. There is another purport in that regard. This is about Shukadev Goswami. He says this in 219. I hope I've not, maybe 218. Yeah, not 219. Okay. Parinishthitopi nairgunya uttama shloka leelaya grihita cheta rajarshe akyanam yadadhitavan. O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. This is Shukadev Goswami experiencing the transformation that he felt. That he was so detached from this world that he didn't even come out of the womb. And then when he came out of the womb, he just ran away. He ran away from his father. So he was completely, and other people also realized that he doesn't care about this material world. And people can recognize such a person easier than they can recognize a devotee. But such a person, when he's hearing the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, he becomes attracted. He says, my mind is attracted to this must be transcendental. Because I am not attracted to anything that is asat. Therefore, this must be sat. And then the spiritual variegatedness that is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam becomes revealed to him. And therefore, he says in the previous verse, Idam Bhagavatam nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Adhitavan Dwaparadau Pitur Dvaipayanadham. At the end of Dwapara Yuga, I studied the great supplement of Vedic literature named Srimad Bhagavatam, which is equal to the Vedas from my father, Srila Dvaipayana Vyasadeva. And then he says that, Tadaham te bhidasyami mahapaurishiko bhavan yasya shraddhadatam asu syan mukunde matissati. That very Srimad Bhagavatam I shall recite before you, because you are the most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. One who gives full attention and respect to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam achieves unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord, the giver of salvation. So Srila Prabhupada states this in the purport that we had read today. In today's purport, yeah. Oh, am I going the wrong way, I think? Oh, yes. Okay, there you go. So Prabhupada says in the last line of this purport, he says, the Srimad Bhagavatam is one of such great literatures, and the highest perfectional stage of life is attained simply by hearing and reciting its contents. Now, Srila Prabhupada, in Canto 7, there's a purport where he compares Brahma Sukha. So this is text 36. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, see, again I noted the words wrong. Let's see. It's either the one before this or after this. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. So, Prabhupada writes, the words Brahma Nirvana refer to connecting with the absolute truth, who is realized in three features: Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Sabhyate. One who feels Brahma Sukha, spiritual happiness, by merging into impersonal Brahman, because the Brahma Jyoti is the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti. Therefore, whatever transcendental bliss one feels from merging in Brahman is due to contact with Krishna. Contact with Krishna is perfect Brahma Sukha. When the mind is in touch with impersonal Brahman, one becomes satisfied. But one must advance further to render service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for one's remaining merged in Brahman effulgence is not always assured. As it is stated, Aruhya Krishena Param Padam Tata Patantyedo Nadrita Yushmadangreha. One may merge in the Brahman feature of the Absolute Truth, but there is a chance that one may fall because of not being acquainted with Adhokshaja. Then Srila Prabhupada writes, yes. One acquires natural happiness upon seeing the moon, but when one can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's transcendental happiness increases hundreds of thousands of times. As soon as one is very intimately connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one surely becomes free from all material contaminations. This cessation of material happiness is called Nivritti or Nirvana. Srila Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Brahmanando bhave desha chet parardha guni kritaha naiti bhakti sukham bodhehe paramanu tulamapi. If Brahmananda, the bliss of merging in Brahman effulgence, were multiplied by 100 trillion times, it would still not equal even an atomic fragment of the ocean of transcendental bliss felt in devotional service. So, here, if you see, Srila Prabhupada explains that the contact with Krishna is perfect Brahma Sukha. Whatever transcendental bliss one feels from merging in Brahman is due to contact with Krishna. The mistake that the Brahmavadis don't realize is they don't understand that the effulgence of the Supreme, the effulgence that they are seeing, the Brahma Sukha, the Brahman effulgence that they are seeing, and the Brahma Sukha that they are experiencing is actually coming from the personality of Godhead, Krishna himself. Now, as devotees, this is extremely important for us to understand. Why is this important for us to understand? We are already worshipping Krishna. Because all kinds of happiness that we seek in this material world are simply coming from Krishna. They are actually belonging to Krishna. When one connects that happiness, that this is actually Krishna, but I'm seeking this happiness separately from Krishna, I need to go back to Krishna. I need to serve Krishna under the instruction of my spiritual master, then he becomes free. That otherwise, what happens, and this is, there's another purport, let me read that before I get a little bit into this. So, this is the last verse of chapter 14. Anybody remembers? No, it's Brahmanohi Pratishtaham. Amritasya vyavasya cha shashvatasya ja dharmasya sukhasya ikantikasya cha. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Now, in this purport, Srila Prabhupada makes an amazing point. He says that, okay. Oh, this is where I read the 4 Kumaras. Okay, so, where is the 6? Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, let's begin here. So he says, the 4 Kumaras were situated first in the impersonal Brahman conception of truth, but then they gradually rose to the platform of devotional service. One who cannot elevate himself beyond the impersonal conception of Brahman runs the risk of falling down. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that although a person may rise to the stage of impersonal Brahman without going further with no information of the Supreme Person, his intelligence is not perfectly clear. Therefore, in spite of being raised to the Brahman platform, there is a chance of falling down if one is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Vedic literature, it is also said, Rasovai saha, rasam hyevayam labdhvanandi bhavati. When one understands the personality of Godhead, the reservoir of pleasure Krishna, he actually becomes transcendently blissful. Then, here's the point. The Supreme Lord is full in 6 opulences, and when a devotee approaches him, there is an exchange of these 6 opulences. The servant of the king enjoys on almost an equal level with the king. And so, eternal happiness, imperishable happiness, and eternal life accompany devotional service. So Prabhupada is saying that when a devotee approaches Krishna, there is an exchange of the 6 opulences. What are the 6 opulences? So you have fame, beauty, knowledge, strength, renunciation, and wealth. Right? The devotee and Krishna exchange these 6 opulences. What are we seeking in this material world? Anybody who is famous, Srila Prabhupada would make this point, anybody who is famous, anything that we desire in this material world is connected to these 6 opulences. Right? Anybody who is famous in the material world, why are they famous? Because they are exhibiting one of these opulences in some minute form, little more than the others. And so they become famous. Whether they are rich, or they are beautiful, they're very strong, they're very renounced. But Krishna exchanges these 6 opulences with the devotees. See, when we come, the conditioned soul has, in order to enjoy separately from Krishna. Okay, why did we fall down from the spiritual world? Because we decided to become feminists. Okay, we decided to become feminists. We are actually energies, so we are all feminine. But we wanted to become masculine like Krishna, and we wanted to become the enjoyer. So becoming feminists, we fell down from the spiritual world. Now, in order to support our feministic theory, what do we need to do? We need to become impersonalists, which means we have to strip personality from everything. And we objectify literally everything in this world in order to try to enjoy it. What does the 4 regulative principles do? When I was having a discussion with Navani Hoda Prabhu last night. What does illicit sex do? Illicit sex objectifies what are actually people, what are actually persons. They're actually persons. You objectify them, you make them into an object. You turn them into an object, and all you're doing is trying to extract and exploit pleasure from that object, use and throw. It's a use and throw product. It's like a paper cup. I drink it, I use it, I crush it, throw it away. Because it's done. It's done. I've extracted whatever juice I wanted to extract. You don't look at that as a person. You don't look, and then you don't care about any of the byproducts. You want to stop the byproduct, which is children. So even the children become an object. What is this? Abortion. Kill it. Because it's just an object. Objectify it, reduce it to a bunch of chemicals, impersonalize it, turn it into energies. What is meat eating? Objectify the animal. Say it has no soul. How can we were discussing, Jita Girish Prabhu and myself, how do these people raise animals and then kill them? How do you do that? Because you turned it into an object. You don't have a problem with your use and throw culture. So you use and throw the animal. You don't care that you exchange some loving, because you don't want to consider it as a personality that deserves everything that a person deserves. No, you objectify that. What is intoxication? Same thing. You objectify a bunch of chemicals and you think this is going to give me happiness. And you're running after these chemicals, whatever it may be, synthetic, non-synthetic, drugs. What's gambling? Greed of wealth. Wealth is now your object. So you objectify these things and you think it belongs to you. And it drives you crazy. But it's the same thing. The moment we start to realize that we live in a world where everything is a personality. The cow is a personality, the earth is a personality, the sun is a personality, the wind is a personality, the ants that are running on the ground is a personality. We will start respecting them. We will start respecting personalities. You have to respect personalities. How can you not respect? Therefore, it's also good that even when we see devotees, we greet them as Hare Krishna. At least greet when you see devotees. Even on a day-to-day basis, as we are going about our day, you see a devotee, greet and say Hare Krishna. Because we have to cultivate this, otherwise we just become impersonalists. Or we are influenced with impersonalism. And that impersonal attitude doesn't allow us to experience the finer mellows of Krishna consciousness. Because the moment you recognize everything and anything as a personality, because that's what it is actually. I think, what is this temple? You think it's a building? No, it's Balaram. We have to maintain. Why? Because it's Balaram. Vishnu-citta Prabhu once said, I was suffering cleaning pots. I always remember this because it was such a transformative experience. I always remember that. It's just these things, transformative experience, it changes does something to the body and the mind. You can't, it suddenly, that transformative experience creates a shift in your Krishna consciousness that you just couldn't do it before that. Because it's that transformative experience. It's the same brass pot, but he said, when you polish this, you think you're polishing the deity, Gaurnitai. There's no difference. Immediately, my whole experience of cleaning pots completely changed. Because now I'm connecting those parts with the personality of the Supreme Lord. Immediately, there is respect, not some object. So, this objectification is when the Mayavadis become so envious of Krishna that they objectify Krishna himself and turn him into just energy and say whatever object might have come out of him is just Maya, including all his activities. That is greatest envy. It's the greatest form of cheating of spiritual life that's masked as if it is an envious attitude that is masked to look like it is spiritual. So this the reverse process. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, if somebody is attached to drinking wine, you think that this taste of wine is Krishna. You make advancement in Krishna consciousness and you will give up drinking wine. Why? Because now you started right in with this happiness is coming from Krishna. Then you know whether can I experience this happiness or does this happiness deserve for Krishna? Is it deserving for him? Is it meant only for him? Such as alcohol. You realize, okay, what is alcohol there? Alcohol is there because Balaram likes it. He can drink. If you are in Balaram's pastimes, maybe you can also drink. The Yadus, they didn't drink for the first time when they got cursed by the sages in the 11th canto. It's common knowledge. They used to drink. But they were allowed to do so, and that was part of service of Krishna, and it was all fine. But in Chaitanya Leela, when the Supreme Lord wanted the same wine, what did the devotees do? They brought Ganga Jal. But for Supreme Lord, he can take that Ganga Jal and he can experience the same intoxication. Because what is it? It's after all one energy for him. It transforms it. And he gets the same intoxication. So we also should realize that's why we need spiritual master. Then we understand what kind of happiness can we dovetail in Krishna's service, what kind of happiness should we not dovetail, what kind of happiness is meant only for him. Why? Because that happiness at the stage that we are in Krishna consciousness, it will, if we experience that happiness, we will reduce it to objectifying it, and then in that way we will act in a manner that is displeasing to Krishna. So this is important to understand. That's how you experience that any happiness that we are experiencing in this world, this is nothing compared to Krishna consciousness, because all that is actually coming from Krishna consciousness. We don't understand that. What is all this pornography, everything? It's just complete objectifying. It is such a bad thing. It's true. Okay, Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? How do the channel go? Oh, I see. Chandan has a point. You can go because you're already.
Guru, a question about the translation. I understand when Prabhupada uses the term like Krishna's, Supreme Personality Godhead, cause of all causes, the source of everything, but I've never been able to understand this term pious actor. How that is connected to Krishna, if you could explain pious actor.
That Krishna is the pious actor?
Yeah, never been able to understand that.
Well, Krishna is the pious actor because he is the supreme pious. So, are you confused about actor, or are you confused about pious? Are you confused about both?
It's like an actor, like on stage, or I just.
Yeah, so I mean, you see, the way it's okay. You go to the verse itself, right? So, Shushloka Maule Gunavada Mahu. So Shushloka Maule, that Supreme Lord. So Nupumsam, Shushloka, pious, Maule activities, Gunavada glorification. That Supreme Lord is performing these different activities. Now, the reason the word actor is used is to indicate that the Supreme Lord, he is above such. See, an actor performs a drama for his pleasure. He is not dependent on performing that drama. Let's say like this. Like a normal person may perform some activities, and he's performing those for his sustenance. An actor doesn't perform a drama for his sustenance. He performs it as an art, as a play, as a pastime. So when you connect that word pastime, then you can understand this word actor. Why do we use pastimes a lot? Because pastimes is to show that the Supreme Lord is an enjoyer. He's not doing those activities because he has to do that. Because he is sustaining or depending on those activities. He's doing it as a pastime because he enjoys doing so. And so he's doing it for fun. So therefore you can see like Kritavan Kila Karmani Saharamene Keshwa Atimartani Bhagavan Guda Kapata Manusha. This verse is describing Krishna and Balaram. And the sages of Naimisharanya, they ask. So they say, Kritavan Kila Karmani, he performed many, many wonderful activities. Saharamene Keshwa, Rama and Krishna. Atimartyani, activities that are performed by superhuman activities. It's above human platform. Atimartyani, Martyani refers to those who are on the platform of death. Martyani. Ati Martyani refers to one who is above the platform of death, or superhuman, as Prabhupada translates it over there in that verse. Bhagavan, he is Supreme Lord, Guda Kapata. But he has come in Kapata means in a hidden form. Manusha, like an ordinary human being. Just how Brahma even got bewildered. So, see, even Brahma got bewildered. This is an actor. Because sometimes you look at an actor on the stage, you cannot identify. That's him? You cannot identify. He's got a different voice. He looks different. Sometimes the male is playing like a female and you don't. I've seen actually a male play a role of a female. Playing it so good that for some time you don't recognize that that's actually a male. So good. And you're like, wow. So, yeah. Yes, culture.
Pranam Prabhu, you're on the mic.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So, I really like the point of like you were watching pods and kind of like having that experience of like experiencing happiness in Krishna consciousness by relating to Krishna. And I was thinking that actually one of our biggest problems in Krishna consciousness is like impersonalizing the holy name. And actually, it's quite scary how common that is like in our own lives, because it's just like we've had an experience when we love someone and we try to talk to them and they neglect us, how painful it is.
Yeah.
We're trying to, we're having a relationship with Krishna through the holy name, but we neglect it. It's like it's not attentive, it's all in the place, and we're halfway through chanting and then we're talking and then we're doing this and that, and we're trying to derive pleasure out of chanting the holy name. It's the same objectification mood.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting how
that's
so
true.
pervading, that impersonalism is so pervading within our own heart. And even when we understand to some extent that Krishna is a person, we're seeing him every day, we're doing all this, but for some reason there's a blockage in realizing the holy name and the personality of Krishna are the same.
Yeah, it's true. This objectification disease, it's very scary how it's like there all the time, everywhere. And yeah, it's the cause of all our problems if we think about it. Every single problem that we have within Krishna consciousness, before Krishna consciousness, it's just, it's this objectification. Why? Because we're trying to be the enjoyers, and you cannot enjoy if you don't objectify. So it's really the holy name. That's a very good point, Prabhu. Thank you. Yes.
When I was more engrossed in material activities, I was like getting over one of these relationships with somebody of the opposite sex, and it was a very painful experience, and super painful. Probably the worst experience of my life, actually. And I went to, after going through this, it's a mode of passion, so it's like nectar in the beginning and then like poison at the end. And I was like at this like a sorrowful phase of it. And I went to somebody asking for asking for advice or asking for some sort of help. And this person just told me, yeah, that's just how it is. You gotta get over it and do it again. And that like really it really hit me at that point. I was starting to get into Krishna consciousness at the point. And Varshana Swami calls this cheap cigarette lighter relationships. The crackhead goes and buys this lighter at the store, the flame's on for some time and the flame just burns out and throw it away, get a new one. So it's just an example of this objectification. And then I also wanted to ask, relating to Mayavad philosophy, what's the statement Tattvamasi? Is this in the Shiva Purana? This was somebody told me.
Tatvamasi is like one of the Mahavakyas. It is found in the Vedas. Somewhere, I don't know where exactly, but it's found in the Vedas, I heard.
So I was wondering, like, maybe you could like just briefly describe the Mayavad understanding, but then also give the correct.
Oh, Mayavad understanding is similar. You are that. That's the translation of it. Tat Tvam Asi. Tat, that. You, Tvam, Asi, are.
So that refers to just like.
That refers to everything. That refers to anything that you consider outside you is you. You are that. That, initially you think, so it's Brahman because everything is Brahman. Right? Sarvam Kalavidam Brahman. This is also from Vedas. That everything is ultimately Brahman. Everything is Brahman. This is Brahman, this is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. Okay? So, anything you point you point to that painting, you point to this, you point to I point to you, tat, tvam, that, you, tvam, means myself, asi, is one. This is their understanding. So, you are that. Now the problem, that's why the Mayavadis, this is why they go into grammar and this, because what do you understand? You are that. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. So then they have to interpret it. Actually, that refers to everything that's outside. Now you're giving interpretation. You see, it's not clear. Now our acharyas say, you cannot just take statements out like this and just interpret it in however damn way you like. You have to follow the interpretation that's found in Shastra. And then the acharyas explain these kind of aphorisms by explaining that, okay, Tatvamasi, you are that, you are Brahman, means we are not matter. We are spirit. We are also of the same nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That the Vedas don't talk about anything material, they talk about that which is supreme. They talk about the Supreme Lord. They talk about Brahman. They talk about the source of all existence. He from whom everything came from. So that refers to He. And you are that, means you are of the same quality. Now, of course, if that is the only thing the Vedas say, then you can say it whatever way. But the Vedas have said so many other things. Krishna saying, Mama Ivamso Jiva Loke, what about all of that? Why are you taking only this? So that's what Mayavadis like to do. They pick and choose, they take things out of context, then they go into their own grammatical explanation, and then they write big books about it, and it all looks very scholarly and people become bewildered. And it sounds very nice. And I go, yeah, I went to one of these places I was going for, looking at fiberglass vendors, so I went to this, one of these places, I don't want to name them, but I went into their room, their meditation room. Generally always has something related to Lord Shiva, because they like that. Shiva is more closer in their conception of impersonalism. Why? Because the Shiva Linga has less features than that of Vishnu. Vishnu, so many things are there. So many things going on. His nose is so beautiful, his chin is raised, his ears have, fish-shaped earrings, he got a peacock feather, there is that, so his linga, what is there? Nothing there. It's one round on top of another round. So then you impersonalize that also. So they like this. And they like that conception of Lord Shiva because he's sitting and meditating, so they have that also. And then they have these Mahavakya. Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. Then there's one other thing which they say. I think at least over there they had Shivoham or something. So.
Anyways, it's from the Chandogya Upanishad. This person on book said it's from the Shiva Purana. He was speaking all sorts of weird stuff.
Okay, Rishi Kumar has a question.
Want me to call
No, he just posted it. He said, how can someone who is attached to illicit sex and intoxication see these things in a Krishna conscious way so that they won't be attached to these things anymore? They see it in the same way that the prostitute Pingala saw it in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That, ultimately, if anybody connects their happiness with Krishna and understands that happiness is only a fragment, that this is Krishna's happiness. The thing is, because they are thinking of Krishna, automatically they will start, if they think of it in the right conception, then even though they are attached, they would be thinking, I'm seeking this, but actually this happiness is in Krishna. Then gradually they are able to give that up. That's how it works, whether it's illicit sex or it's the wine or intoxication. The wine is the example of intoxication. So Prabhupada gives that example. Because the person who's drinking, I'm too attached to this, I'm addicted to this, but this happiness comes from Krishna. So, of course, what does that mean? That doesn't mean that the only thing he's doing in life is drinking wine and thinking, and that's the only time he thinks of Krishna. Because he recognizes that happiness comes from Krishna, what else will he do? He'll go to where Krishna is. He'll associate with devotees, he'll chant the holy name, he'll try to read the books, he'll try to take prasad, and try to do some practice in Krishna consciousness. But then whenever he goes and falls down, he'll think, oh man, why am I still not realizing that this happiness is actually with Krishna? Why am I still seeking happiness outside, separately? When will I realize this? That means that someday he will come out of it. That means that someday he won't become attached to those things. Okay, any other questions or comments? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.